unpublished page, which is a backup for the recording, which I always do. And we begin the proceedings. I'm temporarily muting all of you so that there is no disturbance inside when I'm working. And I share my screen. Please give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen and hear me clearly. Dr. Gajanan, I can see your camera is on. Please give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, welcome to the third webinar of the day. We started at 7 a.m. in the morning with the senior citizen session. We followed it up with the afternoon session for women. Of course, now it is the kids' time or the family time. I know many of you are sitting with your kids. Please feel comfortable to switch on your cameras. Let's make it a two-way conversation. Of course, when I end, I'll be giving you ample time to ask your doubts, ask your queries in the end. So as usual, we are beginning on time. And as usual, my first slide is always thanking the Lord Almighty who's given me much more than what I deserve. And big thanks is due to this man, courtesy, which we are all are celebrating the Day of Education twice a year on 12th of August and 30th of June. Thank you, Dad. Miss you always. Trust me, guys, whatever I'm telling you from the clinical part of finance, it's courtesy him only. I may be having my MBA finance with me. You all know my biodata. I wouldn't be spending time over here. But whatever I learned about clinical finance and personal finance and the banking, because my father was the king of banking, I would say. He worked in bank for 34 years before he took a VRS in 2001. So what experience he had to share with me, what you can say, learned over the next 20 years through my own research. And it is not a theoretical research, it was a practical research where I literally, you can say, knew the CBS or the core banking solution of almost every bank. Now things are getting updated and even I am trying to do that, but I'll tell you a few basic things from the core which I know about the banking today. So this is the session that we are having, the third session of the day, Zoom webinar live, and only one agenda after this is pending at 10 p.m., which I will unveil in the group later tonight. All the, you can say, pre-decided agenda is over now. So this is the financial literacy for kids. Of course, anyone above 8 years can attend. Somebody asked me in the group, sir, we want to attend. Can we attend? I said, I specified minimum 8 years, not the maximum age. So you all are welcome. Your kids' friends are also welcome. Most welcome. Because I believe financial literacy should reach everyone in this country. We should never be bereft of such kind of knowledge, which is a day-to-day knowledge. Unfortunately, our education system is broken. It does not prepare us for the real world. We spend billions and billions, or rather not billions, at least millions or lakhs and crores on meaningless education, which may be domain specific, but it does not prepare us for the real world. The real world education is actually beyond your college life. People are standing clueless outside the college once they pass out. No knowledge of documentation, no knowledge of finance, no knowledge of management, and they don't know where to start, how to start. Just trying to bridge that gap in some way or the other. So this is financial literacy for kids section. I'll be detailing a few things in a very, very basic and a simplified way. So that is the reason I told you to make notes, because maybe even after a lot of simplification, you may not be getting clarity in a few matters, but still, I would encourage you to ask questions which are not clear to you at the end. So this is the mini day of education, is a tribute to my late father. And of course, we'll be having another mini day of education on 12th of August as well, which is almost 1.5 months from today. So let's begin the financial literacy for kids session. And when we talk of the basics or even the financial literacy part, what are the 4 pointers I say everyone should know? The basic finance, the terminologies, the banking basics, the taxation basics, the investment basics. Normally 3 and 4 in detailed version I take in my full-blown workshops, but the basics are for everyone to understand before that. Basic finance, the basic terminology like credit, debit, and all those things, they are pretty much clear. I think you can guide your kids better in that. So I'll be taking up topic number 2 today, which is the banking basics. And I'll be dealing a lot many aspects for the kids because we need to expose our kids to the banking system as soon as possible, as early as possible, because they will be needing that sphere. Of course, I myself very rarely physically go to bank these days, only for cash deposit. Even for that, I have doorstep banking with me. But still, there are aspects of the of banking, even if you're doing offline, you still need to do aspects online. I've been doing it, except cash deposit, as I said, and that too can wherever possible, doorstep banking helps me in that. So let's begin the banking basics today. Not many of us know I'm sorry, I was disconnected, I guess. Let me share my screen again. So if you can hear me and see my screen clearly, please type LC in the chat box. Okay, thank you. So as I was saying, people are not aware of banking basics. So we all need to know about it. Even if as I said, we don't go to banks daily these days, but the same thing is the screen not visible? Dr. Jarvi, please send us check at your end because people are typing LC. They can see the screen and hear me clearly, I guess. So please check it out. I was disconnected for a minute. It has been disconnecting, you can say, ever since morning today. It's been raining heavily here. So never mind. Okay, thank you. So even if we don't do the offline, we need to do the same things online. So I always suggest before you even get into taxation part, even you get into the investment part, you need to know about the banking basics, which are absolutely necessary for each and every one of us because people don't know. And what you don't know, you don't know. You don't take advantage of that also, which the things which are available, visible in that sense. So now, if we start with the banking, people just know savings account and current account. People know savings account means we go and deposit over there. Current account is for the business persons. There are so many accounts other than that. There is a kids account. There is a no frills student account. There is a female account. There is a senior citizen account. So what all these? And other than that, for business purposes, there are OD accounts, which is known as overdraft limit accounts, where you can take a credit over there. So the kids account means the minimum balance things don't apply. Now, every savings account and current account come with a minimum set of basics and they differ from bank to bank. When we talk of bank to bank scenario, means some banks would have a minimum balance of 3,000, some would have 5,000, some would have 10,000. On an average, all the nationalized banks are in the range of 2 to 3,000 minimum. And nowadays, they don't count it quarterly balance. They count it not AQB or not average monthly balance, EMB. They count it as ADB, average daily balance. That is what they count. That is how the calculations are done. State Bank raised its limit recently, and then they again pulled it back. They have a different ratio or different, you can say, range for metros, semi-metros, and non-urban or the village areas. So in the semi-metros, like tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, the range is close to 3,000 per month or per day. That is the required, which means, for example, if the balance limit is 3,000 and there are 30 days in a month, what does that mean? 3,000 into 30, 90,000. Yeah, 3,000 into 30, 90,000. You keep 90,000 for one full day, and for the rest of the days, you can keep a zero balance, which means your average will be close to 3,000. This is just to give you an example. It does not mean you have to do it in this way. So you have to stick to that. Now, in kids account, the range is different. The kids account comes with 2,500 balance, 3,000 balance, 5,000 maximum. Most of the kids account are with 2,500 balance. No frills student account is usually with the college people or college students. It is usually a zero balance account. You don't need to maintain any balance. You can have as many entries as you want. Then female accounts are not from all banks, but they usually in the private banks, they come with different Mahila Mitra account, Mahasajni account. There are different names in different banks. Not all banks will have it, but majority banks are now inculcating that product. This is a product from the banking industry only. So they're inculcating that product in the repertoire. And the senior citizen account is available with everyone. So in senior citizen, there are a few advantages, not from the balance point of view. Yes, a few banks have a balance point of view also, but mostly they have the, you can say, for example, the SMS facility, if it is chargeable for normal people below 60 years of age, for senior citizens, it is not chargeable. So there are different types, different banks, and the different balance requirement is there. Normally, private banks will have the range of, you can say, minimum 10,000 balance in the savings account. For a normal savings account, for anyone in the range of 18 years to less than 60 years. That is what we call a normal adult. Below 18, it is considered a minor, and that falls in the category of kids account. Now, kids account again is not from all banks. Some banks have that specially. Otherwise, most of the banks will have a under guardian savings account. That is the way things work in most banks. Now, we all know there are two types of major banks, private banks and nationalized banks. Nationalized bank used to be 21, 22 in number. Now they have been condensed into 13 or 14 banks. Private banks, they're close to around 30, 35 banks in India. The total of all these banks was close to 60 or 70 or so. Of course, not the branches, the bank types all over India. There is a third category, which is known as a cooperative society, but they also name themselves as bank. They're actually not banks. Majority, 99% of them are not recognized by RBI. So they are not covered by the insurance which the RBI offers to every individual. Now, what is that insurance? That is insurance is by DICGC, Deposit Insurance Credit Guarantee Corporation, DICGC, which means if the bank, you can say, flops or the bank, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, bank डूब जाता है, so then you are insured for up to 5 lakhs. Now, this amount was 1 lakhs pre-COVID. It came to light during COVID only when Yes Bank fiasco happened just before COVID. It happened on 5th of March, 2020. I remember I was having a family dinner and it was my brother's birthday. And he mentioned, boss, Yes Bank डूब गया. He said, what's wrong? No problem in that. These days, bank डूबते नहीं है. They are either merged, amalgamated, or coalesced, or taken over by another bank, or I can say acquired by another bank. So this is the way banking system works in India. I hope you are clear with savings account, current account, kids account. Yeah, current account I didn't tell. So current account is basically dealing with the number of transactions. Mostly basic current account with all the banks, be it private, be it nationalized, they come with a minimum 10,000 rupees balance. Again, that is the average daily balance. That much amount you have to maintain. A good private bank will offer you a good account, current account, starting from 25,000. They don't sometimes even have a 10,000 rupees product. They are updating themselves, but National Bank, you will get a 10,000 rupee product. Now, the basic difference between savings and current account is saving accounts come with a range of IBTs, which we call as in-branch transactions. Now, what are in-branch transactions? A deposit and a withdrawal. These are IBTs. Whether you go to bank to make a online transfer like RTGS, IMPS, NEFT. What are those? I'll come to that. Don't worry. So whatever transactions you go on to make that, those are not counted under IBTs. What transaction you make through your ATM, they are not counted through your IBTs. IBTs only stand for in-branch transactions. And usually most of the banks have put a limit since almost 5-6 years now. They allow 4 to 5 IBTs, deposit and removal, withdrawal. So if you are not, if you are going beyond that limit, you will be charged a certain amount. Normally people don't use that thing. If you are having multiple transactions and you need to, you can say again and again, deposit and withdraw, then current account is the solution for you. Usually current accounts don't have a limit. You can do as many transactions in a month. There is no bar on that. But now again, some private banks have started coming with a limit of 15, 20, 30 transactions. Not all, a very few of them are coming up with a limit on the current account in that case. So I hope it is clear so far. Different accounts, different you can say balance requirements, different charges, different IBTs, and different you can say mode of operation. For example, a nationalized bank like PNB, if you open up account, it's just across the road. If you there, the minimum requirement balance is 500 rupees. If you have a checkbook linked account, that you require a checkbook in your account, then your minimum balance is 1000 rupees. There is one other category which is not applicable to us, which is applicable to the migrant labor, and it was publicized during the demonetization phase more, although it existed before that also, which is known as the Jan Dhan Khata, which was meant for the poor people or the migrant people. It was basically to encourage that every Indian citizen should have a bank account. It, you can say, got a boost during demonetization in November 2016, but after that, it lost interest. Many of people, you can say, became redundant. The accounts did not carry forward. It happens. Now, let's come to how many holders. Now, when I'm discussing all these things, I am discussing all these in the purview of a savings bank account. You can have usually maximum up to 4 holders. Some banks allow up to 5, but mostly 3 or 4. Upper limit is usually 4 holders in a bank account. The mode of operation can be singly, E by S, jointly, F by S, or A by S. Now, what are these? Singly means single person will operate, usually the first person. E by S applies to a joint account. Joint account means with 2 holders, E by S and F by S. E by S is either or survivor. F by S is former or survivor. Now, when the holders increases to 3 or 4, then A by S, anyone or survivor. Again, there is a 5th option also. You want that everyone should sign on the checkbook, then only the operation should be done. It is all our money. Then jointly is the option. Everyone should sign, even there are 3 holders, 4 holders, 5 holders, if allowed in the bank. Up to 4, I have done myself. 5, I did not try. But I have the knowledge that 5 people are allowed in a few banks. Now, in banking language, in ITR language, even if the bank account has 3, 4, 5 holders, the money belongs to the first holder. Means the liability, jo interest aayega, whatever interest you get in that bank, that is counted under the ITR of the first person. Even if the money belongs to all, even if the mode of operation is jointly, means all have to sign. Even then, the funds belong to the first holder. Liability wise, responsibility wise, ITR wise. Okay. Now, when we talk of these things, we need to remember that if it is a normal case, it's a joint account. 2 people, husband, wife, you can say son and daughter, siblings, or father and daughter, or father and son, or mother and daughter, mother and son. Multiple combinations can be there. So whenever you open a new account, mostly if you don't specify, these days under the guidelines of RBI, the account is automatically set to E by S. unless specified otherwise. Means out of the two, either or survivor, either can operate that. Now, there is a terminology known as privileged banking. I mentioned, if you remember, I mentioned about doorstep banking. Different banks have a different name for their privileged banking. Privileged banking means you keep a certain amount of balance. For example, 5 lakhs in your account, you maintain that balance. You don't need the funds. You have maintained 5 lakh plus balance or 2 lakh plus balance. Again, it varies from bank to bank, and they have sometimes gold, silver, or bronze type variants. Not exactly this name. They come with different names. They have these kind of variants. For example, 2 lakh is the bronze variant, 5 lakh is the silver variant, 10 lakh minimum balance is the gold variant, like that. Even sometimes there is a 20 lakh limit also. So the more you get in that higher level, silver, bronze, or gold, you are accorded facilities by the bank. There are lesser charges. The only charges that apply usually are the ones that if you don't maintain your balance, you will be applied minimum charges. Usually the other charges are waived off, like SMS charges, like draft charges, demand draft. Whenever we have to make a payment to someone, those charges are waived off. Plus locker rental is on a discounted price. And there are so many other things also. Now, this is where in the privileged banking also, you get a doorstep banking option. For example, in my banking in IDFC, IDFC First Bank, I'm allowed 5 transactions of doorstep in my variant of account. I'm allowed 5 transactions per month. That bank person will come to my house, collect the cash or whatever service I want. They'll come to my doorstep, give me that service, and I will not be charged anything for it. Now, RBI has introduced this thing in the senior citizen sector for people who are disabled, you can say physically challenged. That is a facility for them under any variant. The RBI introduced it last year only. But under for a normal person when I mean 18 to 60 years of age, it means that they are offered these facilities at the cost of maintaining a certain balance in their account. Now, the next in this category is family bank. For example, you open your account, your wife opens your account, your mother opens your account, your father opens your account, your brother opens your account, your kids open their account. So they have banks, many of the banks now, especially private. Normally, nationalized banking are not having this facility of privileged or family banking. So most of them, maybe a couple may be having. So family banking, you open up all the family members account, minimum 3 to 4 or minimum 5 sometimes, depending upon the bank are required. You maintain the group balance, or we can say average balance in one account. For example, your total some relation with the bank is 10 lakhs. Okay, for your 5 accounts. You opened up a privileged kind of a bank and you said, okay, it is a 2 lakh per person account. We will be accorded certain facilities in that. And you maintain 10 lakh in one account. For example, I maintain 10 lakh in my account. Above that, my rest of the banks can have a zero balance in the family bank. Even if they come with a limit of 2 lakh per account. This is the advantage of family banking. And usually family banking also enjoys all the facilities like the privileged banking. Again, keep on varying from bank to bank, but this is the way they give that. Now, some banks don't have a family banking. They have a grouping facility. For example, Yes Bank, for example, FinCare Small Bank, Small Finance Bank. They have that grouping facility that they will allow all your accounts opened separately at different times to be grouped under one customer ID. And that one account needs to maintain balance. So we can say different names, different facilities for different people. So this is the way things go. I hope it is clear. So then, what is your identification in the bank? It can be customer ID. It can be customer relationship number, CRN, CID, or your customer information form, CIF. Different names, or in banking language in certain bank, for example, HDFC Bank, they call it Cust ID. You can have different names. All of them mean the same. Cust ID, CIF, customer information form, customer identification ID, customer relationship number, they all mean the same. Now, pre-2014 or 15, before late Mr. Arun Jaitley became the finance minister, people acted smart. There were so many loopholes in the banking system, which you can say everyone or who was aware made use of it. Even I made use of those loopholes. And yes, a few loopholes are still remaining. So we have to be aware for that. People used to open, for example, I am living in area A. My adjoining area is area B, area C. I can have a different, for example, HDFC Bank is in all those areas, A, B, and C. I can go to branch A, open up my account, then go to branch B, open up another account, then go to branch C, open up another account, where I keep the balance divided in a form. Now, in 2015 or 14, this facility was introduced whereby it was all the customer IDs of one customer were merged. That is where, how could they be detected? Because Aadhaar and PAN came into being. Firstly, Aadhaar was not mandatory at that time because it had just begun its journey in India. Of course, it was launched during the Manmohan Singh government, but it actually took action after the demonetization or just prior to that. It came into being. Now, Aadhaar is the primary document, the most important document for each one of us. One of us, any one of us who doesn't have an Aadhaar number actually does not exist in this country. In reality, in that sense, he may be physically existing. Now, what they introduced in 2014-15 was deduplication of IDs or a merger of cust IDs. For example, I'm having my account in A, B, and C banks. I get a letter from the bank or a message or a mail from the bank. You, with a similar PAN number, we have found 3 different accounts. Please specify which account you want to keep by this date. If you decide by this break, can you hear me? Or is there any disturbance from my side? Dr. Charvi is saying some voice is breaking. Is it okay? Is it loud and clear for everyone? Because I'm sitting almost right on the top of the modem. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Charvi, please check at your end. Thank you. So they introduced a merger of the cust ID facility, deduplication, that you decide which cust ID you want to keep, in which bank you want to keep. You were given a time of 1 month, 1.5 months, depending on that time. And if you don't pick till then, they would choose a default as per their system and allot you one and merge all your IDs. You still can have 3 different accounts, but they will be counted as one bank entity. Now, what people used to do at that point of time, FDRs used to be non-taxable. Then the taxable limit was introduced in 2014 for the FDs, for the RD, sorry. FD was taxable since the beginning. So the recurring deposit was taxing. It is kind of a, can say, deposit only, where you deposit some amount every month. So in the recurring deposit became taxable in 2014-15. They actually, people said, people have kept different RDs in different accounts. Now all of them were merged. That interest from here, interest from here, interest from here will be clubbed together under one ID, under one PAN number. So actually, people were making use of the system to evade tax. This was, they can say, done long time back. Even now, people believe that you can deduplicate these things. It's not possible. Now, Aadhaar and PAN are centralized, and you can say all these locations have become unified and in one place. Now, there is a know your customer thing, KYC, where you have to tell to the bank that main zinda hoon, I am alive. KYC is due. Normally 2 to 3 years is the standard time specified by RBI, although RBI says 3 years, but banks start their process in 2 years time. Say your KYC is due, your KYC is due, and many of the people also make these kind of again say these kind of efforts to, you can say, go on the task of opening up fraud calls also in that regard. Okay, so now there are advantages of both family and privilege. I've already told you for the charges part, for the facility part. Now, one of the most important things which people are not aware, there is a nomination facility. Now it is mandatory in most of the accounts. You have to opt for a nomination facility. Now, the saving accounts opening form or even the current account opening form will have a DA1 form attached to it. Now, DA1 is that you have to nominate someone in your bank account or in even your mutual fund, even whatever instrument you're investing in, nomination has been made mandatory by most of the regulatory authorities. Now, whatever you nominate, for example, you want to nominate your family member, you have a joint account, you want to nominate your son and daughter, or maybe your brother, your mother, or anyone in your account to be whatever nominee you make, it will be considered DA1 will be considered a default one. Some time back, means pre 2019 or 20, the DA1 form had to be attached separately. And usually bankers forgot that, and nomination was not a big thing. Now, nomination form DA1 is attached mandatorily. Now, there are three codes: DA1, DA2, DA3. Okay. So, DA2 means that you have the nomination and you want to cancel it. DA1 is you give, DA2 is cancel it. DA3 is you want to change it. You did a nomination, you said, I nominated my brother. Now I want to nominate my mother. Brother, mother, two different. Brother, just an example, anyone from A to B or B to C, you want to change, then you need to ask for a DA3 form. I must place it on record. Unfortunately, so many bankers also don't know about DA2 and DA3. And that is the pitiful system. That is the pitiful, you can say, education system. We talk of incompetent doctors, incompetent lawyers. There are incompetent people in every sphere, be it banking, be it any profession. There will always be good students and bad students. So if you are doing your homework properly, you are a good student. Okay, so clear about DA1, DA2, DA3. Now, account A, account B, account white versus black. Pre 2015, people used to think, ये मेरा A account है, ये मेरा B account है, ये मेरा white account है, ये मेरा B account, black account है. I don't show it in my ITR. So this is my account which is not known to ITR. Now ITR, after the Aadhaar PAN linking, which is going on since 2018 now, to make it mandatory, 2019, you can say they actually made it a deadline. Now that still the deadline is being extended. Now it is being extended at some cost. At some cost, you have to pay 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, whatever is the charge, I don't know. So to link your PAN and Aadhaar after the due date has been extended n number of times. Income tax language has simple answer to people who believe कि मेरा ये white का account है, ये मेरा black का account है. We know what you know. Period. Finish. End of debate. If you believe ये account मैंने ITR में show नहीं किया, उनको सब पता है. They'll ask you, yes, Dr. ABC, why did not you show this account? Anyways, after the annual information summary AIS, you are getting these things in your saving and trust is being shown over there. So there is nothing called as A or B account. Now, each of the bank will give you a free checkbook leaves. Some banks like SBI charge it for the first time also. Some banks give first 10 leaves free, then they charge it in savings. Some banks give one, you can say one checkbook, copy of 10 or 25. Usually the copies are in 10, 25, 50 or 100. That is the ratio. But some of the banks come with 40 also size. I think State Bank also only comes with 40 size. But the standard sizes are 10 leaves. 10 leaves, one check is known as the one check leaf, a leaf. So check leaves 10, 25, 50 or 100. So again, very less used these days, unless you have to make payments. When everything is possible online, checks are hardly used. But many banks offer it like a facility, one checkbook free every quarter, one checkbook free every 6 months, one checkbook free every 1 year. Different variants. Standard is one checkbook free every quarter. That is the standard they use. Some banks like SBI, as I said, they will charge a nominal amount, 2 rupees, 3 rupees per check. 40 check leaves means you can say you will be charged. Now, banks who are offering, for example, one checkbook free per quarter, 25 check leaves. Now, you believe that I have a lot of checks to make payments. I'm not using online. I'm using still check leave by payment. I want a 50 checkbook. They'll send you 50 checkbook, but they will charge you the money. It doesn't matter whether you ordered one checkbook in the previous quarter or not. It will be still there. Secondly, checkbook leaves don't get expired. Even if they are, you can say 5 years old. I won't say 10 years because ever since the centralized truncated system or the CTS 2010 came into being, all the checkbooks have been replaced by 2015. After 2015, the microcodes are there. I'll show you what are the microcodes. So all those things have changed now. Even if the checkbook is 5 years old, it is not expired. It is entered in the banking system. And it is not mandatory that you have to go in sequence. You can pick a checkbook leave from maybe the first one and maybe the 10th one. Your choice. You can pick any check. It is not that it has to go in the serial order. Now, saving bank, as I said, some banks will still offer a few check leaves free, but some will not. Current, every rupee, every check leave is chargeable. Right from the first also. Privileged, they have better facilities. Maybe you get a bigger checkbook in a quarter. Maybe you have no checkbook charges unless you order more than 100. Nobody will need 100 checkbooks unless you are running a business and doing everything offline in a physical way. Then you will need a bigger checkbook. Otherwise, privileged, they don't, you can say, charge anything. Then current account versus savings account debate. This is for the dentist basically. So I think this slide accidentally got placed here. It was not meant for kids. So I'll omit this slide. There is already a video on YouTube on this topic. So if dentists who feel they want further knowledge, they can catch up on that video. So now the ATM and the transaction limits. I mentioned about the IBTs or the in-branch transactions. Now ATM further has a different limit. ATM transactions, normally 3 to 5 are allowed by every bank in their ATM, and maybe 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 in another bank's ATM. Now, how do you withdraw? You withdraw through a debit card. Pre-2017, there used to be only ATM cards, which means they could not be used for offline e-commerce or online transactions. Then slowly paradigm shift came. Now ATMs are not issued. You issued a debit card. ATMs were usually free also with no annual charges by many banks. Ever since the debit card came into being, there is a chip inside. It is Wi-Fi enabled also these days. So most of the banks are charging an annual maintenance charge. You are allowed 4 to 5 in your bank, 2 to 5 in another bank per month. This is a limit with different banks, varies. Now again, whatever amount you can withdraw depends upon your account variant. We discussed about types of accounts. Whatever limit you have, for example, some say in our ATM, unlimited transactions. If it is a good variant, if it is a family banking account, if it is a privileged account, if you have a higher variant, you will be offered facilities in the form of transactions and limits. You can withdraw up to 2 lakh per day. Usually a debit card comes with a 25 to 50,000 limit per day. Usually. And if you're using the ATM in any other bank than your parent bank, for example, I have an account in IDFC. I'm using the same in, you can say Yes Bank. My limit for that transaction is rupees 10,000 only. I cannot withdraw with my ATM of IDFC from, for example, my ATM is running out of cash. The banks are together adjoining. In my area, actually they're adjoining. The Yes Bank, the HDFC and the IDFC are actually adjoining. IDFC is out of cash, HDFC is out of cash, so I have to go use Yes Bank. So Yes Bank I go, it'll give me maximum 10,000 per day. Even if I insert it again, it'll say, sorry, you have crossed the limit. So again, those are the guidelines RBI has made to secure that even if you lose your ATM card or debit card, as it is called, and you can somebody tracks or cracks your debit card pin also, then they can't make maximum use of it. Because once anybody withdraws even 10,000, you will get a message immediately at that point of time. And you will check, yeah, मैंने तो 10,000 निकलवाए नहीं, कहाँ से निकल गए पैसे? This is the way things go. You check it out, make a complaint. The earlier you make a complaint, there are chances that that 10,000 will also be refunded to you if you report a card loss early. Again, varies from bank to bank, but if you report within 6 to 12 hours, usually even you are compensated for that amount also. Now, passbook. A passbook is like a record of your transactions which you do. Majority of the banks give you one of the two options. Either opt for a statement, usually email statement, or opt for a physical passbook. Old citizens pick up passbook. You can say many of youngsters or many of the normal citizens, they pick up statement. Physical statement is mostly chargeable by most banks unless it is a privileged account. Most of the banks are now encouraging green banking, so they don't they discourage actually the physical statements. Now, many banks will send you, if you opt for an e-statement, they'll send you a monthly statement also. If you want a quarterly statement, they'll send you a quarterly statement also. And that is free of cost. But you can't have the statement and the passbook facility together. That is not allowed. The free thing and the paid thing comes into play. Now, the locker, where you keep your property papers, your important documents, or even your jewelry, females keep over there. Locker rentals, the rental varies from 1,200 to 6,000 rupees. For nationalized banks are only good in terms of locker. Their locker rent is on the lower side. Otherwise, their facilities and their services are far inferior to the private banks. Private banks lockers usually start from 3,000 to 4,000 and go up to 6,000, even 10,000 also. Usually there are three sizes: small, medium, and large. A few private banks have an XL size also, but most banks have S, M, and L. And the range is for example, the small size comes in 3,000 rent per year. Medium comes in 5,000. The big L size comes in 7,000 to 8,000. Depends. Some give a discount on the first year fees. Some give a female discount also. That 25% of the locker fee will be like a cashback every year. We have a locker in my mother's name and my wife's name, and we get a 25% rebate in IDBI Bank. That is the way most of the banks function. So, a locker facility. Now, IDBI is a semi-private, semi-government bank. 26% of the share is government, the rest is private. So, 51% share was picked up by LIC in IDBI. It is actually an LIC bank. LIC has not renamed it, but 51% of the share belongs to IDBI. And very soon, IDBI Bank would be privatized. You can say that is one of the first banks that will be privatized. Now, SMS banking. Many banks have started charging now for the SMS facility. You can say even for the daily balance or even for the weekly balance, they are charging some amount. It varies from, for example, ICICI charges per message, 10 paisa, 20 paisa per message. Some charge a flat fee, 15 rupees per month, 17 rupees per month, or 15 rupees plus GST per month, varies. Again, privileged banking for most banks or family banking for most banks, you get the charges waiver over there. And you can say, even if you don't opt for SMS banking, all my accounts have been disabled for SMS banking usually because I hardly use any ATM. Or a ATM or debit card. I have not used a debit card in the past 5 years, I guess. Not maybe once in 5 years past, I've not used that. So I disable my SMS banking. Even if you disable your SMS banking, you will still get the OTP and those passwords because those are kept in the mandatory list by the RBI. My SMS banking is usually, you can say, off, but I get a message for the OTP for the transactions I make. And all my banking transactions are 2FA enabled. 2FA means two-factor. Unless I put in the OTP, none of the transactions can take place. So even if I don't get a message, I am secured in that regard. Now, check clearing. Now, it is very strange to say 35, 40-year-old people I've come across, they don't know how to fill a check. And I'm not talking male or female, I'm talking journal people. So these days, there was a time pre 2018 or 19 when checks used to be sent physically for clearing. Now every bank, or at least one bank in the city, has that facility where they scan the checks and images are sent and not physical checks, which has made it first day. For example, you deposited the check today. If it is before 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. their time, the check will be taken for clearing. The next day, it will be credited. The next day, third day, it is for the return, if any. So the check clearing used to take 3 days, 3 long days. Now the process is down to 2. For example, one of my banks has a clearing system till 4 p.m. Even if I drop in a check today at 4 p.m., by 6 p.m. tomorrow, I will get the money in my account if the check is valid and all those factors are clear. You can say 26, 27 hour process is there. कहने को 2 दिन है, 26-27 घंटे का process हो गया. Yes, the key is to put in on the first day before the due date or the cutoff date of the filter. Now, how to fill a check? You enter the pay name here. Now, there was a time when you make a cutting, make a double writing, you just sign over here and the check would be cleared. In the past 4 years, the RBI has come up with very clear-cut guidelines. Nothing or no change is allowed on the check. Even if it is, for example, आपका पेन नहीं चल रहा था, आपने चलाते टाइम पहला अक्षर आपका डबल हो गया, वो चेक रिजेक्ट होगा. So पेन को पहले खाली कागज पे चला के देख लें, run it on a vacant piece of paper and then empty piece of paper and then fill in the check. Make sure there is no double writing. कई बार कोई पेन जो होता है ना, बॉल पेन थोड़ी सी इंक छोड़ता है, जिसमें आप कर्सिव राइटिंग करने लगते हैं तो उसमें लगता है ऐसे कि आपने ऐसे एल डाला, आर डाला, समथिंग, तो इट पुट्स इन अ काइंड ऑफ अ डबल इंक. That is also counted as an overwriting. Then the check won't be cleared. Simple name, full name. You know the person as somebody else. You have to put in the number by which the account number is there. For example, somebody puts in a check of pay name Bhavdeep Ahuja. The check won't be cleared because my name in my account is Bhavdeep Singh Ahuja. Okay. If I am issuing a check to someone, I can sign anyways. I sign as Bhavdeep Ahuja only because otherwise my signatures become too long. I'm doing this since almost 20 years now, so I've not changed my signatures. So in sign, whatever I want to use, I can, but the check name has to match. Now, amount in figures, amount in words, signature here, the date. These 5 items in red are mandatory. Name, words, amount, sign, date of issue. Now, this is mentioning, for example, this is mentioning Siddhant Jain. This is a single account. If it is a jointly operated account, both the holders have to sign. Both the names will be there. If it is a either or survivor account, only anyone can sign. Either or survivor. Either, whatever you want to call it. Now, below the check, there is a 6-digit number. The first 6-digit number is the checkbook. Oh, sorry, the check number. Then there is a MICR code, magnetic ink character recognition code. This is for the banking images part. Then the bank's ID with the RBI. Then the transaction code. Normally, you don't need the third and the fourth. Bank, sometime when you are entering your check online, you may need a MICR code, but mostly you need a check number. Now, check return causes. I told you already, double writing, overwriting, cutting, nothing is allowed. It should be a flowable writing wherever you feel. Even if you put an extra dot sometimes, that is counted as a double writing. So be very cautious when filling the check, when filling the check. Okay. The check number I've told you will be here. You can stop the check. You should check to someone. You thought that maybe you should a wrong check, or maybe you want to change it, or maybe you feel that something is wrong. You can do a stop check online also, offline also. Go to your net banking, internet banking, open up and stop the check. Cautiously. These are the three precautions to take, and always write at the back the name into which account it is going, the account number into which it is going, and the phone number, yours, where you're depositing. For example, I want to pay to Dr. ABC. I put pay name, pay Dr. ABC, a sum of rupees 40,000, 40,000 here, FORTY 1,000 only in words here, sign here, date here, all the 5 things. And on the back, I will write, I'm depositing in his account, for example, here only in this, I will write Dr. ABC's full name, his account number where I'm depositing it, and phone number may be mine or maybe his. Doesn't matter, make a difference. Usually from the account it is going to be debited, you have to give that number. Okay. Now imagine the reverse situation. I get a check from someone. He's already written pay Bhavdeep Singh Ahuja, for example, 40,000 only, 40,000 here signed. He has signed it also here. He's put in a date. At the back, I'll put in Bhavdeep Singh Ahuja, account number, whatever it is, and below that my own number. So that whenever the check is returned, they inform me. Okay. So that is one thing you need to take care. Many banks now don't require the voucher to be filled. For this, sometimes a separate deposit voucher, like a check, like a cash deposit voucher, a voucher has to be filled. Many banks have done away with that. Since that is an extra additional paperwork, they just write the number legibly in the clear format at the back and along with the phone number and go ahead and deposit. But some banks insist, nahi, voucher bhar ke do, doesn't make any difference. By you can say, if you are not depositing a voucher, click a photo of the check from front and back. If you're depositing with a voucher, get it stamped where you are depositing with the bank or before even Dropbox. Usually they say Dropbox mein dal do. They won't give you a stamp also, or maybe stamp kar denge, so it doesn't make any difference. Now, some banks like SBI, like even SDFC, they have check vending machines also. You enter the account to be deposited, you enter your check number also, the barcode is already there, it will identify, amount, enter, name, and the check is automatically gone into clearing. Now, the onus is on you to fill the right details. If you don't fill the right details, then it is going to be a problem. Now, a new thing has been introduced by RBI 2 years back, 1.5 years back, positive pay system. Now, whenever you used to issue a check, if it was, you can say it was done firstly to prevent the frauds. Whenever you used to issue a check, people used to get a call from the bank. आपने ये 50,000 का, 1 लाख का, 2 लाख का, whatever amount का check issue किया है? हाँ जी मैंने किया है. किसको किया है? I have issued it to Dr. ABC. Okay, fine. Thank you. Bye. It is just a confirmation call from the bank that your check has not been stolen and is not being used fraudulently. So the banks introduced a positive system courtesy RBI. Positive pay system, the amount is set, the minimum amount is set at 50,000 rupees, which means that if your amount is above 50,000 rupees and you want it to be paid directly, the bank should not trouble you for calling. You enter the positive pay system, go to the online net banking, enter the details of the check issued to whatever in the system, and you deposit and you okay it on your net banking after filing and confirming it, and the bank will not confirm it. Means if you issue a bigger check amount, it will be immediately processed for clearing. Courtesy the positive pay system. Again, it is a check to introduce the fraudulent things in check. So the regulatory authorities are doing their bit, but we all see that the scammers are always one step ahead of the regulatory authorities. They take such steps before any fraud comes to light. Then they make rules and regulations. By that time, the frauds have already implemented another system or another way of fraud. Now, a few tips to, before writing a check, write in the way, you can say, write in a way which is difficult to alter. For example, this is the wrong way. If you leave a lot of space, Abhay Kumar, you will lot of space, somebody can alter it, put in a wrong name, and the check can be, you can say, rejected. Then always, whenever you are giving it to someone, always click these 2 lines, which means you are crossing the check. Crossing the check means, now when I've even you can write between that A by C pay, account pay. Even if you don't write, just make two parallel lines like this. If you can see in the image, just to make two parallel lines, that means it is an account pay check, which means this check cannot be used for cash payments. Nobody can take a cash payment against this. So you need to cross this or mention account pay. Anyways, even if it is not crossed, the RBI has given the mandate or the limit at 20,000 or 19999. Above 20,000, it has to be digital. That is as per the rules of the income tax. You can't have it. That is why you can say the gift or the other things that are above 20,000 are to be paid digitally. For clinic payments, always cross the check above 10,000. Now, this was a thing which we used to do in the past. Now we're doing everything online, so checks are hardly used also. Sometimes in the whole year, I use 1 or 2 checks. For those people only who say, I don't use Google Pay, I don't use Paytm because it is a fraud system, I'll get defrauded. So people have this notion, then they don't use it. It's okay, we give check to them. So hardly, very rarely used, but these are a few things to be used. So always use the full name of the person, not the slang or not the nickname. And always after the check, when you write a name, add a line or a small cross in between 2 lines. That is the way you can do. Cancel the word bearer after the check. Now the check will mention here bearer over there. The bearer check means those, if it is a cash payment, for example, amount below 20,000, you have not crossed it. If you don't click bearer, the person whose name is there, he will have to come and take the payment. Not anybody can take it on his behalf. If it is a firm name, then the managing director has to come. So usually you have to cut out the bearer check over there. And then of course, ये blank check सिर्फ हिंदी फिल्मों में होता था आज से 20 साल पहले. अब हिंदी फिल्मों में नहीं होता है. वो भी कहते हैं मैं online wire transfer, I'll do the wire transfer. So they also do the wire transfer. They also don't give blank checks. Otherwise, the old villains used to give a blank check to the hero to, you can say, leave their daughter and you can say get away with the money. And the hero used to tear off those checks. Those were good old times of Hindi movies. Ab Bollywood hi bechara barbad ho gaya, kya karo? Again, a few tips while accepting a check. Make sure that the check is signed. I've seen so many checks where everything is perfect, but the signatures are not there. I've seen so many checks. I've received so many checks via post also. Then don't give any post-dated checks unless it is for a, you can say for a educational thing or for a EMI thing. Even the EMI guys don't take post-dated checks. They you can say set up their system with the bank. ECS system is their electronic clearing system wherein your EMI is deducted every month. Then no dirty marks on the check. It should be clean. Handwriting should be consistent on all parts. No double writing, no overwriting, no spaces, no undue spaces. Same ink, same pen flow. No spelling mistakes, no tampering on the microcode. As I said, this is the, you can say, ink recognition system, ink character recognition, which is going to be used for the clearing system. No cutting, no overwriting, no double writing. These are a few tips you need to know when you are issuing a check. Now, net banking or internet banking, as we say, usually the system used to be very robust for Kotak Bank, Federal Bank. Sometime before that, now every bank has a very robust system. All of them require an OTP. First the password, then the OTP. First the captcha code, then the password, then the OTP. And maybe for sometimes it is a 2FA also. Federal Bank has a special hardware token also. It is kind of a device which has a 4 or 5 digit number. You press it and you have to enter the number and then only you can log in. Of course, if you are traveling and you have not your 2FA with you, you can use an alternative in the way of OTP also. So simple ways to keep your password. I'll tell you very simple ways. See, one thing you need to remember, the passwords have to be alpha, numeric, and caps. Means you need alphabets also from A to Z. You need words also from 1 to 9 or 0 to 9. You need, you can say special character also like star and bracket, percentage, whatever. You need a caps character also, means one letter at least in capital. Okay. So, and the password should be minimum 8 words. So that is the thing. So a simple tip to put in a password is, for example, pick up any word that you like. I'll give you an example here. For example, I will say June. I'm using the word June. June 4243 star and that inverted V and maybe percentage, which is shift 86765, and then maybe followed by any letter in caps P. Get my point? June 4243 and then special characters shift 8765, then followed by your favorite character. This is a way to set a login password. When you have to change it, use the next June 5253, same special characters, same caps character. And in your diary, you can note 5253, 4243, 6263. This way, you're only changing 2 digits, the rest password is same. A tip to add a transaction password. Same password, June 4243 8765, add a special character of 4. 1 character special extra, and again ending with the same caps letter P. This is the way I keep my passwords. And it remains with me. I just enter in my Excel sheet the number. For example, 4243. Baki to mereko malum hai na? Yes, your family members should know it, but nobody can trace what is 4243. Even if somebody catches hold of that diary or my Excel file, this is the way you can do it. Whenever you have to change it, change both login and transaction. Just 2 digits only, change. Now, some banks like HDFC, like one more, probably, Yes Bank also. Yes Bank and HDFC will not accept any special character from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They only accept 3, 2, and 1. So you can keep the password June 4243, shift 321, followed by same character. And in your password, you can, in your password entry, you can mention 4243-321. You know it is a special character 321. Where 321 is not there, your special characters are 8765. Just an example. This is a very, very simple tip. I've been using it since almost now at least 15 years, I would say. Never created a problem. Yes, I have to change the password, and it is easier to remember. And very, 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 very practical way also. And the continuity also is maintained. And nobody can trace it also. Nobody can track it also. And nobody can, you can say, hack it also easily. Unless you go on telling everyone, oh, mera password likhna wo ye tha. In a showroom, when you're shouting like this, nobody will, you can say, remember that. So 2FA, I told you already, you have to enable that. Then I told you about the online transfers. NEFT, National Electronic Funds Transfer, RTGS, Real-Time Gross Settlement, IMPS, Immediate Payment Service, FT, Funds Transfer, physical, of course, and online via Payee Edition. So what is the difference? Now, NEFT is from any amount up to 2 lakhs. From 1 rupee to 2 lakhs, you can do a NEFT. NEFT used to be done in batches of 2 hours. Now it is done in batches of half an hour. In 24 hours, you have 48 batches. Means your account is settled every half an hour. RTGS is for the bigger amounts. Any amount above 2 lakh is to be done via RTGS. Of course, you can do a NEFT also up to 5 lakhs. But above 5 lakhs, it has to be compulsorily RTGS. RTGS is fast and done through RBI directly. So again, transfer that part. IMPS can be done through your phone, can be done online. That is immediate transfer. NEFT का आधे घंटे में settle होता है. RTGS 15-20 minutes में settle होता है. Sometimes 1 hour also. IMPS is immediate. NEFT is in the physical mode, funds transfer. You give a check to the bank. Please do the fund transfer when the check is in the same bank. And मुझे HDFC का check मिला है. I have the bank account in HDFC only. So transfer it over there. This is fund transfer. Otherwise, वो different bank का होगा, तो वो clearing में जाएगा, जो मैंने आपको बताया. वो जो 2 दिन का 26-27 घंटे का प्रोसेस है. Online pay edition is where you add a pay, you get a cooling period. Cooling period is you can't make any transaction is that. Some banks have that period of 30 minutes. Some banks have period of 1 hour. Some banks have that period of 2 hours. HDFC and SBI have that period of 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Sorry, not HDFC, SBI and Yes Bank. They have a cooling period of 2 to 3 to 4 days. And even after the first 24 hours, you can transfer only 25,000 rupees. It is only after the completion of 2, 3 or 4 days, whatever the limit is there. I think minimum 3 days is there. So after that, you can transfer as per the limit specified. For example, I have given the limit as 5 lakh rupees. The maximum limit I specified to transfer to this payee is 5 lakh. For example, my lab, I've been making regular payments. I can set that limit at maybe 1.5 to 2 lakhs. Never the bill has crossed 2 lakhs. So we set the payment at bar over there, where the online payment is made. Now, through net banking, you can check your 26AS also, which is your duplicate Janam Kundali. You can do ITR tax filing also. You can verify your return also. You can do lot many through your net banking also. Many banks have enabled these features in your bank, in your internet banking. Now, what else you can do through your internet banking? You can book a FD, you can book a RD, you can buy sovereign gold bonds, and many more transactions can be made. You can link your credit card also. You can pay for your credit card also through your net banking. Even third-party credit cards are allowed. I make my credit card payments through another joint account of mine in, for example, in IndusInd account from my HDFC account. Some banks allow a third-party edition, some won't allow it. You can even reset your ATM PIN through your net banking. You don't need to physically go to the ATM to reset your ATM PIN. And again, keep a series of ATMs. If you are using ATM, I told you, I don't use ATM hardly. I use it hardly. Once in 5 years, I've told you that is my frequency. So usually with the digital modes coming in, we either pay digitally or in the online way. We don't need it. And I prefer to do that way also, because that way I feel that I'm in the control of finances. Then accept cash deposit, you can check balance anytime, place service requests. And of course, important part is about the apps. Now, I don't advise major transaction through bank apps. Again, this is my personal viewpoint. You are free to differ from it. Preferably have a view facility only, except for the bank where you keep a low balance and do the transactions online. Rest, don't pay through apps, because phone is a hackable device and it does not have an antivirus protection. It is not secure at all in that sense. We give so many permissions to so many apps, third-party apps, you can say any other thing. I'm not really, you can say, convinced about the security feature. So I prefer not to do any big transactions. Yes, small payments, IMPS payments, little volume, not very high ticket size. I prefer to do, else I don't. So you all need to know these banking basics. There are many more. I told you, gave you the list, maybe some other time. So what is the carry home gyan? I have already overshot my time by about 20 minutes or so. So what is the basic carry home gyan for today? There are a few points which every kids must be taught, because this is the important thing about every, you can say, financial literacy, which is important. Now, what are the 10 points which are applicable for everyone, not just the kids? Of course, kids need to be taught this. Number one is how to save money, how to keep track of money, how to pay what it's worth for something, how to spend money wisely, how to think about money, how to have a positive relationship with money, how to live on a budget, how to invest, how to recognize frauds and scams, how to exercise the entrepreneurial spirit, and how to handle credit. Many of these things I have covered, you can say, especially living on budget, living on identifying frauds and scams, I've covered in the morning and the afternoon session also. So I think you would be aware of it, what I've covered. So I would advise you to be financially literate, start with the basics and slowly build on them. And always remember, there is always a step 1, 2, 3 before reaching step 10. Rome was not built in a day. Rome was actually built each day. So whether you want to learn or not, whether you consider finance as an important portion of your life or not, I leave that choice to you. It is a personal choice. And I say that line very fondly. It's all about the choices in life. Make sure that you make the right ones. So the moral of the whole story is that financial literacy is an important life skill, which increases financial resistance, promotes saving and financial issues, prevents costly financial errors and fraud, reduces anxiety about out of control finance, and cushions the impact of recessions. So the key is the key. The moral is the key. Keep educating yourself. This should not be a dull day even in your life, even once. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. And just a few announcements. This is my PhD community only for dentists, of course. If this is to overcome the DMF index, which we are not taught, the education system is broken. We all know that. Just to reiterate that fact and spread the message in your community, in your area. I want maximum dentists in there who could be benefited from them. And yes, most of these WhatsApp messages, can say these webinars are being happening for my WhatsApp community also. And do spread the message in your friend circle. If anybody wants to be added, they can be added. We have recently consolidated all 6 groups into 2 groups now. So my YouTube channel, which has a lot of videos, do subscribe to the channel if you have not already done that. My YouTube channel presence is through my name only, is Dr. Bhavdeep. And my all social media presence is also through my name, Dr. Bhavdeep, wherever you want to find me, wherever you want to follow. I have content everywhere flowing in. Wherever you feel comfortable, please feel free to follow me. And do send me your feedback. And of course, I know many of you have made notes. So do share your notes for your fellow colleagues as your giveaway for the society, as your giveaway to the dental profession. And of course, if you want to add any feedback for me, please feel free to do so. And I would request that please do post your takeaways for the benefit of others. And this is the time for questions. I could see a few questions popping up in the chat. And I will stop my share to get to the questions. Let me just check firstly from the chat, and then I will take up from the live ones. Dr. Nilanjan Mitra asks, sir, what if one opens accounts in different banks? Wouldn't he still get interest on all the separate accounts? He will still get interest on all the separate accounts. He will do it, but the customer ID will be clubbed under one. It'll be hassle for you to maintain all those 3 accounts. And your interest will be clubbed also, and it will be counted under your PAN number only, even for all those 3 banks. In fact, all your saving banks, whatever you have it, will be counted under one head only. Thank you. I hope you get your answer. Dr. Rishikesh says, can you mention which loopholes still exist? There are a lot many loopholes. You have to enter the banking system, get to the basics. You understand this is a matter which should not be discussed on the platform, I would believe. So don't worry, there are so many which can be done. So regarding the deduplication of accounts using Aadhaar, PAN, what if one opens accounts in different banks? Wouldn't they still get interest on separate accounts? They will still get interest on separate accounts, but the only thing is they will be counted under one PAN number in your ITR, and they will be displayed. For example, HDFC Bank 1, 2, 3, they'll be all combined. For example, one bank had 100 rupees interest, the second had 200, third had 500. You will see the entry in your AIS as HDFC Bank for this PAN number, 800 rupees, 100, 200, and 500 added together. So it'll be there. So, but it'll be counted under one PAN, and you can't escape free. People used to have that in different banks when the customer IDs were different. They used to enjoy that facility. Ki, is bank mein bhi tax bacha liya, isme bhi bacha liya. After the duplication or the merger thing, those things actually lost their favor, because government is also smart enough to do that. So how can I make more money and invest as a kid? Firstly, learn the basics, Tarush. I would encourage you to get acquainted with the basics and start with small little savings. Understand the value of money, understand the value of budgeting, analyze and track your spends. Whatever you're spending or earning from your pocket money, do that and try to see if you can have a big purchase coming up in any of your wish list. Save money for that, because saving is the first step towards investing. Now, before you save the money, You need to actually know what your spends are, which means you need to budget that. Then you need to track that. And once you track and budget, save it, then only investment will come into picture. And investment is not a, you can say, one field investment. You have to invest in multiple fields. For you as a small kid, I would advise keep saving the money in your saving bank account, which will give you good returns. Alternatively, if you want to get acquainted, I would recommend you to open up a SIP with your father as a guardian, and you can start your SIP also, even with a minimum sum of 500 rupees per month. I hope I answered your question, Tarush. What do we mean by, Dr. Nimishad, what do we mean by check bounce, and what are the scenarios when these check bounces take place? Majority of the check bounces take place because of insufficient balance or because of the errors in checks filling, which I have notified: overwriting, spaces, double writing, cutting, whatever. Usually these are the situations. Or account number and name are not correct, or the date is incidentally, for example, you mentioned the right date, but you mentioned the year as 2022. Earlier, there used to be a long limit. Now the checks are valid for a period of 3 months from the date of issue, which means if you wrongly entered 29th June 2022, your check is already expired when you signed it. So 3 months limit is there. Earlier, it used to be 1 year. Then for a long period of time, it was 6 months. But now it is 3 months since almost about 7-8 years now. So 3 months limit is there. So mostly checks bounce because of insufficient balance, wrong name, wrong account number, or maybe errors in the filling of the check. I hope I answer your question, Dr. Nimisha. Thank you, Dr. Rajkumar. Thank you, Nilanjan. Thank you, Dr. Bindu. Dr. Manjot Singh says, sir, are there any saving scheme for boys? Are there or for girl child? Unfortunately, no. There are a lot many schemes for the girl child, but nil for the boy child. That is the way things go. But then the facilities for the boy child are that you can open up a PPF account for them. Anyways, the girl child usually enjoys, the youngsters below 10 years enjoy the Sukanya Samriddhi only. And the elder ones, after this budget 2023, enjoy that Mahila Samman saving certificate, which is, I have not found even a single bank offering it online as yet. A couple of post offices I had started it, but even on the India Post Office site, I've not come across that Mahila Samman saving certificate. And we are already 3 months completed into this financial year. So there are 2 schemes only majorly. Sukanya Samriddhi for the young child, and Mahila Samman that started only today for the adult females, but nil for the, you can say, for the male child. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Surbhi. No problem. Thank you, Dr. Divya. No problem, Niranjan. That's okay. So thank you, Dr. Bhavna. Dr. Rishikesh asks, can you tell how frequently our CIBIL is updated, say after repay of car loan? Normally, deletion of the data takes place every 6 months. Earlier, they used to write off certain things, but now certain loans are still outstanding after a few times. But after the CIBIL, you can say after your repay of car loan, the first thing is your CIBIL should not go down itself, because you may be under credit. If you're paying your installments on time, your CIBIL does not go down, number one. It is maintained. If you miss an installment or do some haragiri on that account, maybe then that is altered. But if you have paid it regularly through ECS or your post-dated checks or whatever way, it is updated after 6 months or so in that regard. Having said that, there are 2 kinds of inquiries on your CIBIL, a soft inquiry and a hard inquiry. Make sure that you check CIBIL once in 2 to 3 months only and not hit it every week. Because once you hit it again and again, it becomes, the multiple soft inquiries become a hard query itself. So, and hard inquiries, when they hit the CIBIL again and again, they are responsible in taking the CIBIL score down. Okay. I hope I answered your question. Thank you, Tarush. Thank you, Dr. Nimisha. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, Dr. Shruti. So, Tarush says, I'm 11-year-old. Can I start investment, as you said, with my dad? Tarush, even if you were 11 days old, you could start the investment with your dad. Of course, you would not have been able to speak at that point of time. So may I please request all of you to switch on your cameras? I feel like talking to a wall. None of the cameras is switched on. Please switch on your cameras. So even if you were 11 days old, you could do it. The only thing is you could not have spoken at that point of time. So okay. So okay, Dr. Pooja says, how can I check before investing in a property that any old loans taken are paid or not? Get them to tell their CIBIL only. That is the only thing. Or tell them to, if there were any loans, get a clearance certificate from the bank. That is the way you can get clarity on that part. Or you can say, for example, I think Rishikesh mentioned about the car thing. Whenever the property is under loan, for example, car, the RC at the bottom mentions hypothecated or pledged, which hypothecated means pledged only under loan to this bank. When you clear your car loan, the first thing is you have to go to the RTO office, get a form, attach the documents, attach the old RC, and get a new RC. That there are very minimum charges, I think around 200 to 300 rupees only for that. But you get a new RC with that line omitted, hypothecated or pledged to that bank. So similarly, the properties which are pledged to the banks won't issue a clearance certificate for that. If there were any issues, there were certificates before that. So ask for the clearance certificate from the bank, and that is the way. I've dealt with all these aspects, Dr. Pooja, in my blog also, in the buy or the rent series that I took up on FB Group PSD. 5-part series. Everything of these aspects, what all documents you need for buying, for renting, all those things are for you guys only. So make use of that, those blogs, they are still there. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Rishikesh. Thank you, Dr. Pooja. Any more questions? Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. I'm here. So if there are no questions, I'll request only one thing. Please put your takeaways in the group. Some of you have attended all 3 sessions. Some of you attended 2. Some of you attended only 1. Whatever it is, please believe in giving back to the society. Please believe in giving and helping out your colleagues. So whether they came here or not, whether they were busy or not, that should not deter you from doing your duty. So think it as your duty of helping out your colleagues. So with this, we finished the day of education. Yes, a 5th agenda is left. I had specified 5 agendas for the day. And of course, I'll be posting that around about 10 o'clock in the group itself. So till then, till we meet again, probably soon, probably on 12th of August. See you. Take care. Bye-bye. All the best and happy banking, happy investing, and happy, you can say, finance awareness to all of you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.